Supermarket shelves are evolving faster than ever, and some of your go-to products might soon vanish without warning. In this video, we're diving into 25 foods that could disappear from stores in the near future. From everyday staples to fan-favorite treats, these items might not be around when you're looking for them. Whether it's due to supply chain issues, changing consumer trends, or other factors, the landscape of what's available is shifting rapidly. This isn't about creating fear or panic, it's about keeping you informed and prepared. Knowing what's at risk of disappearing can help you plan ahead and make smarter choices for your pantry. So stick around as we uncover the surprising list of foods that might soon be off the shelves. You won't want to miss this. 1. Chocolate and cocoa powder. Brace yourself for a rude awakening because chocolate isn't the sure bet it used to be. Massive drought and a nasty fungal disease, black pod rot, have ravaged cocoa crops in powerhouses like Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. Producers of 70% of the world's cocoa. Not a minor setback either. Yields are down a staggering 40% for the 2024-2025 season. What does that mean for you? Skyrocketing cocoa prices have already hit $12,600, 0 cents per metric ton. And that's not just scary for businesses, it's hitting your wallet too. Chocolate bars, cocoa powder for baking, and your beloved desserts are either going to cost a fortune or simply vanish. Manufacturers are slashing production, fiddling with recipes, and even considering shutting down less profitable lines. Smaller artisanal chocolate companies? They're particularly vulnerable and might just fold altogether in the face of ingredient shortages. If we see more irregular weather next season, chocolate could shift from an everyday indulgence to a rare luxury. Want a chocolate cake? Get ready to hunt or pay premium prices. Supermarkets and cafes alike could be forced to severely limit their chocolate offerings. Bottom line, your sweet tooth might have to step aside. This is crunch time for chocolate lovers everywhere. 2. Extra virgin olive oil. Say goodbye to that staple bottle of quality extra virgin olive oil sitting in your pantry. Spain, the world's biggest olive oil supplier, has been pummeled by 2 brutal years of drought. Olive harvests have plummeted, leaving national reserves depleted and prices spiraling out of control. Premium extra virgin olive oil now costs anywhere from €4, 0 cents, 60 to €6, 0 cents per kilogram, and shopping aisles are already looking sparse. Supermarkets are quietly shifting toward cheaper, lower-quality blends to make do, while smaller producers are drowning under skyrocketing production costs. Don't expect to waltz into a store and grab your favorite cold-pressed bottle anymore. It's simply not sustainable on a large scale. And summer weather predictions aren't helping either. Hotter and drier conditions spell even lower yields. Even now, some manufacturers are diluting what should be pure extra virgin olive oil with cheaper refined oils, leaving consumers to figure it out by squinting at fine print on labels. This isn't just affecting home cooks. Restaurants, gourmet food producers, and olive oil enthusiasts are all feeling the pinch. Spain's struggles prove that one key supplier faltering can send shockwaves globally. You better stock up if you see a price that doesn't make you choke, because top-quality olive oil could soon be the stuff of overpriced specialty shops. 3. Non-Basmati rice from India. Think rice is abundant and untouchable? Think again. India, a global giant in rice exports, has thrown a wrench into the supply chain by restricting non-Basmati rice exports. They claim it's about stabilizing domestic food security, but the result for everyone else? Spiraling shortages and climbing prices. Some regions, like parts of Africa and the Middle East, both heavily dependent on Union rice, are already limiting consumer purchases to stop hoarding. Once shelves are bare, good luck finding what you need. Western countries might not see the full brunt of this immediately, but make no mistake, it'll catch up. Expect fewer varieties, smaller selections, and price hikes if you're used to buying long grain or parboiled rice. Restaurants and caterers relying on bulk purchases, they're scrambling to secure enough supply without blowing their budgets. And just to debunk any optimism, only basmati varieties are exempt from the export restrictions. Hardly helpful since non-basmati shipments make up most of India's exports. The bigger scare? If these restrictions linger into the next planting season, shortages will hit deep, potentially affecting other grains. Don't wait until rice turns from supermarket staple to elusive commodity. This is a wake-up call to stock your pantry now. 4. Oranges and orange juice. Can't start your day without orange juice? Well, brace yourself for a future where that glass becomes a luxury, if you can even get it. Between Florida and Brazil, 2 juggernauts in orange production, the industry is crumbling. thanks to almost comical levels of environmental catastrophe. Florida's battling citrus greening disease, hurricanes, and unrelenting drought, bringing its orange yield to a historic, abysmal low. Meanwhile, Brazil is being strangled by unbearable heat, which is forcing fruit to drop off trees long before it's ready to harvest. What does that mean for you? Fewer oranges, and even fewer bottles of pure, high-quality orange juice. Beverage companies know they're backed into a corner. Some are blending orange juice with other citrus fruits or watering it down just to keep shelves stocked. Though the nutritional value goes right out the window. Prices are climbing fast, and your choices are about to get a lot more limited. Forget dreaming of affordable fresh oranges or concentrated juice for recipes. Even the food industry is feeling the pinch, with higher costs for sauces and baked goods containing orange concentrate. If weather conditions don't make a miraculous turnaround soon, fresh oranges and real orange juice could turn into bygone treasure. 5. Coffee, Arabica, and Robusta. Bad news for coffee lovers. Your morning ritual may soon come with a hefty price tag if it sticks around at all. The two largest coffee producers, Brazil and Vietnam, are in disaster mode. Drought conditions and extreme heat have bludgeoned production of Arabica and Robusta beans alike. Arabica, prized for its smooth taste, is extremely vulnerable to heat, while even the hardier Robusta isn't coming through. Futures prices have already surged, translating to pricier cups of coffee on your end. Specialty coffee brands and artisan roasters are the first to feel the squeeze, with many downsizing their selection or cutting product lines that don't pull big numbers. Don't be surprised if your favorite single origin variety vanishes, or if limited edition flavors simply stop showing up. The convenient coffee pods many rely on? Say goodbye to diverse options. Manufacturers are tightening offerings to the basics. For those who love a high-quality brew, brace yourself for a downgrade. Brands are already starting to stretch their supplies by blending beans or turning to artificial flavor. Even bulk bean purchases from wholesale clubs won't save you anymore, as prices keep climbing. If these trends persist, spoiler alert, they probably will, you'll either have to take what you can get or give up your coffee altogether. 6. Chicken eggs. Eggs are balancing on a knife's edge, and another fall could cause chaos in your kitchen. The avian flu outbreak in 2024 obliterated millions of egg-laying hens across North America and Europe, leaving the industry struggling to recover. While supply has temporarily leveled out, the system remains disturbingly fragile. If a new wave of the disease hits, especially during colder months when it spreads more easily, prepare for empty shelves and prices that make you wince. Egg production isn't something you just bounce back from. Once an outbreak takes out a flock, it takes months of careful rebuilding to get back on track. Even without new challenges, you've probably noticed fluctuating prices due to skyrocketing feed costs and enhanced biosecurity measures. Forget about those dreamy organic or free-range eggs, too. Premium varieties are some of the first to vanish when the supply chain tightens, and it's not just about breakfast. Eggs are critical in countless products. Baked goods, mayonnaise, pasta, pre-made meals, you name it. Manufacturers will either reformulate recipes with less egg content or quietly hike their prices, leaving consumers to foot the bill. Whether you're a home cook or a restaurant owner, the egg dilemma isn't going away anytime soon. At 7. Spicy sauces like Sriracha. Love adding heat to your meals? Well, spicy sauces, especially iconic brands like Sriracha, are becoming rare commodities. The culprit? Mexico's red jalapeno crops, the lifeblood of many popular hot sauces, have been decimated by record-breaking droughts. For producers like Huifeng Foods, known for Sriracha, this disaster has forced strict production quotas and delays that ripple down to supermarket shelves. Think it's just a temporary bottleneck? Think again. Extreme weather threatens to make this an annual headache. Retailers have already started limiting inventories, and your favorite spicy condiments might end up as memories. Limited edition flavors or specialty lines, forget about them. They're the first to go when supplies shrink. Even the broader chili-based sauce market is feeling the crunch, with escalating demand driving shortages in Thai, Korean, and Caribbean pepper sauces. Restaurants are cutting spicy dishes from menus, leaving fans of heat out in the cold. If the drought conditions persist, it's not just about Sriracha. This is the beginning of a much larger reset in the global hot sauce market. Unless you've got a secret recipe for DIY chili sauce, prepare to pay through the nose or sacrifice spice entirely. 8. Wild-caught salmon, Alaska wild Avocados salmon. might soon swim out of reach forever. Alaska's Department of Fish and Game slapped a seasonal ban on the commercial harvest of key salmon species, including chum and chinook, through mid-August 2025. This isn't just a knee-jerk reaction. Dwindling salmon populations, driven by habitat destruction and warming ocean temperatures, have forced drastic measures to preserve stocks for the future. The ecological positives come at a steep cost, and you're going to feel it. Premium wild-caught salmon fillets, known for their rich flavor and high omega-3s, are already becoming scarce. Stores and suppliers are grappling with how to replace what they've lost, with many resorting to farmed salmon or inferior alternatives. Spoiler alert, those won't taste the same. For restaurants emphasizing sustainability or seafood-focused menus, this hits like a tsunami. Prices for remaining stock are expected to skyrocket. And when it's gone, if ocean conditions don't improve anytime soon, this temporary ban could extend, leaving supermarkets looking like ghost towns in the seafood aisle. Those looking for top-quality salmon should either stock up now or brace themselves for a future where it might become an unattainable luxury. 9. Raw sugar. Sweet? Not for long. The global sugar market is spiraling out of control thanks to brutal weather conditions hammering two of the biggest sugar producers, India and Thailand. Extreme heat and an aggressive El Niño have delivered catastrophic cane harvests. Parched fields in India and disappointing yields across Thailand have slashed global supply. Over the past 2 months, sugar prices have soared by a shocking 55%, and it's not slowing down. The effects extend far beyond your kitchen sugar jar. From soft drinks and candies to baked goods and condiments, sugar is deeply embedded in countless products. Tightening export quotas and prioritization of domestic consumption in these countries mean major importing nations are already feeling the squeeze. Fewer exports result in shortages, price hikes, and manufacturers scrambling to figure out recipe adjustments that keep costs down, often sacrificing quality in the process. There's also the risk of rampant substitution. High fructose corn syrup or artificial sweeteners could start replacing sugar in more products. But for many purists, that's far from an adequate swap. Sugar is no longer the cheap commodity you subconsciously relied on. It's becoming a pricey luxury, with ripple effects touching nearly every aisle in the grocery store. 10. Beef. Beef is facing a crisis that's shaking the industry to its core. The U.S. cattle herd has hit a historic low, not seen since 1951. Years of brutal droughts in key grazing states like Texas and Oklahoma have annihilated pastures, forcing ranchers to cull herds early. And here's the kicker: it takes years to rebuild these herds. There's no quick fix for this one. Feed shortages and skyrocketing grain prices are compounding the problem, with transportation costs piling on top. The result? Less beef on the market, and what's there is brutally expensive. Ribeyes, tenderloins, and other premium cuts are increasingly becoming items for the wealthy, while everyday staples like burger patties and ground beef stretch the wallets of average shoppers. Don't think restaurants are immune to this either. Upscale steakhouses are quietly trimming portion sizes, while fast food chains are hiking prices on signature menu items. This extends beyond steaks. Prepackaged meals and frozen entrees containing beef are set to become scarcer and pricier. And here's the elephant in the room: beef's dominance in diets may be waning. Climate impacts, cost volatility, and land problems are forcing both producers and consumers to ask just how sustainable industrial beef production really is. For many, beef's role on the plate is shifting from staple to occasional treat. 11. Bananas Cavendish variety. Bananas are hanging by a thread, and the Cavendish variety, making up 95% of global exports, is at the center of it all. The culprit? TR4, Tropical Race 4, a relentless fungal disease with the power to wipe out plantations for decades. This pathogen isn't picky and spreads silently through soil, infecting roots and destroying crops. Asia and Africa have already endured massive losses, and now TR4 is wreaking havoc in Latin America, the heart of banana exports to the US and Europe. Since Cavendish bananas are clones, they have zero genetic defenses. Once TR4 hits a plantation, it's game over. Hotspots like Ecuador, Costa Rica, and Colombia are already reporting cases, and containment efforts look weak at best. If TR4 continues spreading, it's not just prices you'll notice climbing. Quality will plummet, and familiar bananas could vanish entirely. Industry experts are scrambling to find resistant replacements, but that won't happen overnight. And familiar banana varieties may make their way to shelves, but they won't taste the same, and they certainly won't be cheaper. The Cavendish banana's dominance highlights the risks of monoculture farming. If this crisis isn't reined in, your go-to fruit may become an exotic and expensive indulgence. 12. Natural vanilla. Say goodbye to the rich, complex flavor of real vanilla. It's becoming a luxury item you probably can't afford. Madagascar, the world's vanilla kingpin, produces 80% of the planet's natural vanilla. But its delicate vanilla orchid plantations were torn apart by Cyclone Gamayne in early 2025. Unlike artificial flavorings, the process of producing real vanilla is grueling. The orchids are hand-pollinated and the pods require months of painstaking care to cure properly. One bad season craters the vanilla supply for years, and this year it happened in epic proportions. Global vanilla supplies are expected to drop by nearly half, and the results are already showing in soaring prices. Vanilla now costs more than silver by weight, making it a nightmare for small-batch bakers, ice cream producers, and gourmet food makers. Large-scale manufacturers are reverting to synthetic vanillin, which is cheaper and gets the job done, but lacks the depth of natural vanilla flavor. If you care about quality, prepare to open your wallet, or start baking without. This crisis exposes the dangers of relying on one geographic hotspot for a global commodity. Until there's a shift to diversifying production or investing in synthetic solutions, real vanilla could become a thing of the past. 13. Durum wheat pasta. The pasta aisle might start looking depressingly empty soon. Durum wheat, the backbone of traditional pasta, is taking yet another hit. Italy, one of the world's major producers, planted more wheat last year anticipating better outcomes, but Mother Nature had other plans. A vicious heat wave scorched crops during critical stages of growth, slashing yields and compromising the quality of the semolina flour used to craft pasta. Factories are now dealing with reduced wheat availability and production cuts are inevitable. Starting in late 2025, expect fewer shipments and empty spaces where your favorite pasta brands used to sit. Specialty shapes, whole grain options, and imported varieties are already on the chopping block, while private label, lower quality alternatives inch their way onto the shelves. The price tags won't be subtle either. Pasta isn't immune to climate instability, and durum wheat has proven to be particularly vulnerable. This could force manufacturers to experiment with alternative grains or blends, which may change the taste you love. If pasta is your pantry staple, it's time to buy now and stock up. The coming shortages might leave you battling for whatever scraps are left in the supermarket aisle. 14. Bread wheat. Wheat, the world's most consumed grain, is headed for another rough year. Ukraine has long been known as Europe's breadbasket, but ongoing war has drastically reduced its wheat production. This year's harvest is expected to be a dismal 22 million tons, a 12% drop. Add to that a pile of obstacles, damaged fields, ruined equipment, labor shortages, and disrupted planting cycles, and the picture grows even bleaker for global supplies. Red wheat, the foundation of so many foods, is feeling the pinch. From sandwich loaves to crackers and noodles, every product relying on wheat is now more expensive and harder to make. To stretch supplies, millers are blending lower quality grains into flour. Don't expect the same consistency from your next loaf. Countries heavily dependent on Ukraine's exports, like parts of Africa and the Middle East, are already dealing with sky-high food inflation and rising hunger crises. On Western supermarket shelves, changes will be subtle but noticeable. Expect smaller loaf sizes, fewer discounts, and a push toward mixed flours or alternative grains. Supply shocks aren't easing up anytime soon, and if you're hoping for cheaper prices, think again. Bread, as we know it, is entering an era of uncertainty. 15. Sunflower oil. Sunflower oil might not get the spotlight it deserves, but this kitchen staple is in trouble. The Black Sea region, primarily Ukraine and Russia, produces over 70% of the world's sunflower oil. With exports down by a staggering 24% in 2025, supply chains are collapsing faster than anyone expected. Ongoing war, broken transport systems, and skyrocketing production costs are leaving supermarket shelves noticeably emptier. Consumers might shrug off sunflower oil, thinking they'll just switch to another option. But this affects more than your frying pan. Bottled oil, margarine, salad dressings, mayonnaise, and countless snack products depend on sunflower oil. Prices have already surged past $1,500, 0 cents per ton, and companies are scrambling to find substitutes. Think palm oil, canola oil, or soybean oil. Cheap, yes, but with their own environmental hurdles and flavor compromises. Consumers should also be wary of vague labels. Terms like vegetable oil could camouflage companies switching to cheaper blends. For households counting on sunflower oil for its neutral flavor or allergy-friendly properties, the lack of transparency might mean surprise substitutions and unexpected allergens. Buckle up, because sunflower oil's availability is sinking fast, and it's pulling a chunk of the food industry down with it. 16's honey. If you think honey will always be a pantry staple, think again. The beekeeping industry is crashing hard, with colony losses at unprecedented levels. This year alone, U.S. beekeepers reported a staggering 70% collapse in their hives. The culprits? Pesticides decimating bee health, parasitic varroa mites sucking life out of colonies, and erratic climate swings messing up nectar supply, all combining into a nightmare for producers. And it doesn't stop with honey. Healthy bees are vital not just for your honey jar, but for pollinating a ton of crops. With fewer functioning hives, honey production is plummeting globally. This leaves buyers scrambling, resorting to cheap imported honey. The catch? These imports are often diluted with sugar syrups or other nasty substitutes that look real but don't come close. The hardest hit are premium honeys like clover, wildflower, and orange blossom. Local producers are already reporting shortages, and steep price hikes are making even basic honey a luxury. Big brands could start sneaking in cheaper blends, diluting what little quality is left. Bottom line, if honey plays a big role in your kitchen or health routine, stock up now, because the sweet stuff is turning into rare gold. 17. Potatoes and frozen fries. Think a world without fries sounds absurd? Brace yourself. It's closer than you think. Key potato-growing regions in Europe are grappling with a disastrous combination of soggy planting seasons and late blight outbreaks. Belgium and the Netherlands, major supplies of frozen fries and chips, are seeing yields nosedive, and it's creating havoc in the industry. Late blight, a nasty fungal disease, thrives in these damp conditions, wrecking crops and spiking costs for farmers. Making it worse, potatoes are a fragile crop that doesn't easily adapt to extreme weather or changing conditions. When fields are hit, there's no plan B. Major food processors are already struggling to maintain their supply lines, and you won't find the same deals or variety in frozen food aisles anytime soon. Meanwhile, restaurants and school cafeterias are feeling the strain too, with dwindling supplies of affordable frozen fries impacting menus everywhere. Potato lovers should prepare for higher costs and fewer options, and don't think other regions can swoop in to save the day. Potatoes are a tricky crop to scale quickly. If things don't improve, the iconic comfort food may soon become an overpriced extravagance. 18. Garlic. Garlic has been a culinary mainstay for centuries. Until now, that is. China, dominating garlic production with over 80% of the global market, seems to hold all the cards. And even with a reportedly strong harvest this year, logistical nightmares and trade barriers are strangling exports. Here's the problem. Getting garlic from Chinese farms to Western supermarkets has become a massive headache. Port bottlenecks, rising freight costs, tariffs, and customs delays have made garlic distribution crawl at a snail's pace. Fresh garlic supplies in places like the US and Europe are fragile as it is, since domestic production is minimal and highly seasonal. Take out the steady Chinese supply, and supermarket shelves could empty out at record speed. Add to that rising demand for garlic-infused sauces, spreads, and supplements, and you've got a serious imbalance brewing. Even short shipping delays mean fewer options and inflated prices at your local store. Garlic cloves might soon go from a cheap essential to something you reluctantly ration. If these logistical issues persist, a once-back ingredient could temporarily become elusive, pricey, or downright unavailable. 19. Tomatoes, sauces, and ketchup. Tomatoes are the backbone of countless foods, from simple salads to the ketchup on your fries. But America's tomato industry is unraveling. California, which supplies over a quarter of the world's processed tomatoes, is being pummeled by relentless droughts and scorching heat. Don't underestimate how bad it is. Fields are drying up, labor costs are soaring, and farmers are abandoning crops altogether. This spells disaster for the tomato products we take for granted. Pizza sauces, marinara jars, canned tomatoes, and even pre-made soups are all at immediate risk of shrinking supply. Manufacturers are already reformulating recipes to stretch what little supply they've got, meaning you'll probably notice watery, starch-heavy sauces popping up soon. Supermarkets are trimming back on variety, and prices for any tomato-based products are climbing fast. And if this year's drought spills over into 2026, brace yourself for even worse shortages. Forget discounts or bulk deals. Even a regular bottle of ketchup could start feeling like a splurge. This isn't just a snag, it's a systemic failure of an industry dependent on stable water supplies in an increasingly unstable world. 20. Chickpeas and hummus. Chickpeas might not sound like a big deal until you realize how much hangs on this humble legume. India, the global leader in chickpea production, is facing a major crisis. Weather-damaged crops and dwindling government stockpiles have created a deficit of 1.5 million metric tons. If that doesn't sound like a catastrophe, you're clearly not paying attention. Demand for chickpeas is massive, whether for making hummus, falafel, or satisfying the growing appetite for plant-based proteins. But even as prices skyrocket, supply just keeps slipping further out of reach. Export tariffs by India are also making it harder for international markets to secure what they need. Hummus manufacturers are among the hardest hit, forced to shrink portions, raise prices, or halt certain products altogether. Restaurants that feature Middle Eastern or vegetarian options are also scaling back on chickpea-heavy dishes. Since chickpeas are nearly impossible to replace, both in texture and nutritional output, consumers won't find easy substitute. Long story short, this isn't just another shortage. It's a warning sign of how fragile plant-based staples have become under weather volatility. Stock up on chickpeas now, because the shelves might not be restocked anytime soon. Best for brewing. If you love your IPA or craft beer, the future looks bleak. Hops, the key ingredient that gives beer its bitterness and aroma, are in serious trouble. These delicate plants are highly sensitive to changes in temperature, soil conditions, and rainfall. Unfortunately, climate shifts are hammering hop-growing regions like Germany and the Pacific Northwest in the U.S. Scientific forecasts predict global hop yields may drop by up to 18% by 2030. Worse, the alpha acids that give hops their unique flavor are degrading in the process. Craft breweries have already started feeling the pinch. Smaller players with limited budgets will struggle to afford premium hops, forcing them to compromise on quality or slash product lines altogether. Consumers can expect fewer options when it comes to hoppy brews, especially seasonal and niche beers that rely heavily on specific hop varieties. Sure, mass-produced lagers might stick around, but kiss the variety and creativity of your local microbrewery goodbye. This isn't just a bad season, it's a systemic crisis reshaping the beer industry as we know it. Unless solutions emerge, the signature flavors that define craft beer culture could soon be memories, with price tags rising faster than you can say, cheers. 22. Avocados. Avocados have been dominating breakfast tables and burrito bowls for years, but don't get too used to them. The latest hiccup? A breakdown in U.S.-Mexico trade relations. The U.S. temporarily banned avocado inspections in Michoacán, the only Mexican state authorized to export them north of the border. Without those inspections, shipments came to a screeching halt. This is a big deal, since Mexico supplies over 80% of avocados eaten in the U.S. With no shipments moving, avocados practically disappeared from store shelves within days. Prices shot through the roof for the few left in stock. Not so fun fact, avocados aren't great for long-term storage, so once supply chains falter, chaos erupts almost immediately. What's worse is the ripple effect on restaurants and food manufacturers. Guacamole-loving eateries had to either cut portions or slap hefty surcharges on menus. Even processed avocado products saw slowdowns. While avocados may eventually return, the situation shows just how vulnerable our food system is to even brief disruptions. Enjoy your avocado toast while you can. It may become a rare indulgence instead of a grocery staple. 23. Butter and cheese dairy fats. Butter lovers are going to hate this, but dairy markets are shifting, and it's bad news for your favorite spreads and baked goods. European dairy producers are redirecting milk supplies toward cheese, which has higher profit margins and booming export demand. Butter production? It's taking a back seat, and even a small dip, about 1%, is enough to create major shortages. Labor shortages, pricey feed, and stricter environmental rules are making it harder for farmers to keep up. Supermarkets are already cutting back on their butter inventories, and discount chains are scaling down promotions. Expect to pay more for that block of high-fat butter you like to bake with, if you can find it at all. The problem doesn't just end with butter. Croissants, pastries, and all those delicious baked goods you love are going to rise in cost too, thanks to rising butter prices. Meanwhile, certain cheeses, especially soft ones, could also become scarce as producers grapple with shifting priorities. This isn't a temporary blip, it's a long-term restructuring of how dairy works. Cheaper alternatives might flood the market, but for those who appreciate real butter and quality cheese, the future looks discouraging. 24. Dijon mustard. That iconic Dijon mustard jar that's been sitting in your fridge? It's becoming a lot harder to find. France's 2024 mustard seed harvest was a complete disaster. Drought and relentless heat waves wiped out much of the crop, and then Canada, the second largest supplier, struggled with its own lower yields and rising export costs. These back-to-back blows have put the global mustard market in a chokehold. French producers, known for their high-quality, non-GMO seeds, are now scrambling to source enough raw material to keep up with demand. Supermarkets in Europe are already rationing jars, some even limiting customers to one per person. Across the pond in the US and UK, Dijon mustard is becoming more expensive, with smaller jars replacing the usual sizes. Even worse, some brands are quietly swapping out Dijon for generic alternatives. It's not just home kitchens feeling the squeeze. Restaurants and food manufacturers using mustard in dressings, marinades, and sandwiches can't handle the rising costs. If extreme weather keeps up, this shortage isn't going away soon. Dijon mustard might no longer be the kitchen staple you've come to rely on. It's on its way to becoming a rare luxury. 25. Canned peaches. Think canned peaches are recession-proof? Think again. California, the hub of U.S. canned peach production, is having a disastrous year. Spring brought erratic weather, cold snaps during blooming season followed by intense heat waves, wreaking havoc on cling peach crops.